He took her outside into the parking lot of the strip mall and had her stand in front of his 2001 Kia Soul. And then he had these Polaroids of her. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your favorite podcast. It's called Stop the Internet Podcast. I'm Kelee.
I'm Erin.
Erin is sick today, you guys.
Leave me alone.
Sorry. Thanks for being here. I feel like everyone is sick right now.
Everyone is sick, and I don't know when I got sick. I would love to say it was from celebrating the Eagles too hard, but I think it hit me before that, and I just pushed it a little bit too hard. I don't know. But more importantly, the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. So no matter how sick we are, we rally, right?
Wow.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. It's kind of scary that everyone's sick right now. I feel like the symptoms for like most people are like worse than COVID. I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of people be like, this 2025 flu is like the worst sickness.
I am not the sickest I've ever been. Knock on wood. I've never had COVID that I am aware of. If I had it, I never had symptoms or anything. The sickest I've ever been was in freshman year of high school when I had swine flu. I was on my deathbed. I was like, this might be how I die. I don't know. I went to the doctor and the doctor was like, look, if you don't feel like you can eat or drink anything, don't force yourself. And I was like, this is it. This is how I die. Like,
wait,
put
what?
me on hospice.
Why would they say don't force yourself to eat or
because
drink?
I think I was throwing it all up. Like, it was just so bad. I was so sick.
Wow.
I don't feel like that right now, but this is the sickest I've been in a long time.
It's so weird. I do feel like colds have gotten worse since COVID. I mean, I don't know if you have the flu or not. I hope I don't get sick from her.
I don't know if I have the
small,
flu.
confined space.
Maybe it's a really bad cold. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I never got bad colds until the COVID pandemic. In the heat of it, I got sick and I was so sick. I was like, oh, I definitely have COVID. Took 3 tests. They were all, and not the rapid test. Like that was before rapid tests were available. I had to go to CVS and like do it in the pharmacy and stuff. And every single one of them was negative. And I was like, wow, the colds are just, they're getting worse. I don't know.
Everyone is getting so sick. They're saying right now, like the numbers of RSV, the flu, COVID, and now they're saying tuberculosis numbers are up.
So crazy.
I'm like, you guys, come on, and I got my flu shot. I don't think I have the flu. I think I really do just have a bad cold, possibly strep, because I can't swallow. But I don't think I have the flu. I did get my flu shot, and I've actually gotten pretty sick multiple times this year. I think people, when they get sick, they don't just stay home and they don't wash their hands. They just spread their germs.
Yeah.
So here we are.
I feel like it's partially because people are selfish and partially because of, what do they call it? Pandemic. Oh my gosh, you know what I'm talking? It's like people are tired of, fatigue. Pandemic fatigue. Have you heard this?
No.
Basically, people are so tired of wearing a mask, staying home, doing all these precautions that they're like, I don't care anymore. And then they go out, which like part of me understands if you're not sick or like if all you have is a runny nose and you're like, I've stayed home for 3 years, like I can't keep staying home. But what annoys me is when people are like fully sick, or like I remember I was talking to someone during the heat of COVID and they were like, yeah, we were both extremely sick, but we didn't think it was COVID. So we kept our dinner plans. And then the next day we tested and it was COVID. And it's like, we're in a pandemic and you have every symptom of COVID, but you don't think it's COVID. And like multiple people said that to me throughout the pandemic. And I'm like,
yeah,
you literally were just exposed to COVID at your family party. 2 days later, you have every single symptom and you just don't think it's COVID. Like people need to be for real.
People are just selfish, really.
I know.
What it comes down to. I don't care how fatigued you are. Wear your mask. Like, just don't spread your germs. Like, if you feel so inclined that you have to go out with how sick you're feeling, just wear a mask so you don't cough, sneeze, breathe, like project any germs on someone else.
Yeah.
Just do it. Come on. Stop being selfish.
I know. It is so annoying because like the mask is, I would be annoyed if I wore a mask too. But like if you know that you have the flu or even just a really bad cold, like why it's so disgusting. And
it's literally disgusting. Like you are disgusting.
Yeah. I don't get why that's not more.
And then the people that cough into their hands and then touch stuff, or they sneeze into their hands and then they touch stuff. Oh my God. People really don't practice personal hygiene.
No.
And they think they do. Like they'll be like, yeah, I'm clean. I shower every day. Please. Literally, bitch, please. You cough, you sneeze into your hands. No, did no one teach you, or were you taught incorrectly, or are you just disgusting and you really think this is okay?
I hate watching people sneeze into their hand and like going about their daily life.
Ugh.
Oh, and also coughing, like doing that, like what? That does nothing. Everything is now on your hand that you're touching other public surfaces. Ew, it's gross.
I have no words.
I remember when we were growing up, masks were like this weird thing. Like if you wore a mask, you were really strange. And when I was in 8th grade, I think it might have been when you were sick in freshman year of college with the bird flu. I went to
Whoa. It was high school and it was swine flu. I did not have the bird flu in college.
Sorry.
To all
Freshman
of my
high
dorm
school.
mates that are listening.
Oh yeah, okay. It wasn't bird flu. It was swine 09.
Yes,
And
I
she had a
swine
sweatshirt
09.
that said, "I survived swine 09."
I
No,
wish
I'm
I
just kidding.
did. I should still get one so everyone knows.
Yeah. But I remember I went into the doctor's office and they were like, "If you're feeling sick, please wear this mask." And me and my dad were looking at each other like, "Oh my God, I have to wear a mask." And I was so embarrassed, even though everyone in the doctor's office was wearing one. And
Yeah.
it really makes you think, why are you not forced to wear a mask unless you're going in for a checkup or like even the stomach flu? I feel like you should probably wear a mask.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember
Or like a broken bone.
Right before COVID hit the United States, that last December when it was like creeping up on the world, I was in Australia for a couple of weeks, and it was when the Sydney wildfires were happening. So the smoke in the air was really bad. And people were wearing masks because you couldn't breathe. People, not indoors, outdoors, when you were walking, you know, building to building or outside your car or whatever, everyone was wearing masks because the smoke was so bad. And I remember leaving. I was staying at a friend's family member's house in Sydney. I remember walking out of this house and thinking, how crazy must it be to wear a mask every time you leave the house?
Wow.
1 month later, COVID hit the United States, and the rest is history.
Wow. That's so sad.
I mean, it would be more sad if people didn't wear their masks and more had happened.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
those who did their part, thank you. We applaud you. Those who didn't, you know where you stand.
This is your fault. Just kidding.
It is, though. Anyway.
Okay, we can stop talking about sicknesses. We're going to rant about something else now. Recently, Erin and I were recalling, it was my first job. It was probably your second job, right?
Yes.
Okay, we had the most insane boss at this job, and we were just sitting in the car, like remembering all the weirdest things that he did. And I was like, wow, we should do a full episode about all of the weird shit that he did and also just weird bosses in general, and just rant about how annoying people are and creepy and weird. So this episode's going to start with us recalling our worst boss ever.
I don't know if he was my worst boss ever.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Okay, he was, actually, I would say he was my worst boss ever because of all the things he did combined.
I didn't work there long enough.
Okay, I did
only
work there
had
a little bit
couple
more than
little
you.
experiences, and I think I've had overall more jobs than you.
Yeah, definitely.
And I work in the healthcare field, and let me just put it this way. Not all people who get administrative higher up jobs in healthcare have healthcare backgrounds, and that just trickles down to a disaster, like an absolute disaster. So I've had a number of bosses, whether it be like manager, their manager, but they all end up somehow being my boss that I have direct contact with, that they may not be horrible people, but they are horrible bosses.
Yeah.
So, yes, I have actually, he is not this person that we were reminiscing on, is not the worst boss I've ever had, but he was definitely, well, let me say this. When I had this boss, it was my second job, my first job that I was working at the same time and previously to this job. My boss was incredible. Like I always said, I would work for this man until the day that I died. So going to this boss, as someone that had only ever had one boss who was the best ever, was definitely a slap in the face. I was like, what the hell have I walked into?
He was insane. Yeah, I must say that I have gotten very, very lucky with bosses. And then after about 2 years after college, I was 100% a freelancer. So I have people that I work with and I do work for, but they're not really a boss in the same way. Like at any point I could be like, you're no longer someone that I am doing freelance work for, and I'm just going to do the same exact freelance work for somebody else. I've never had to do that actually, which I'm lucky, but yeah, I will say I've been lucky. This guy that we're gonna tell, like, we'll get into it. This guy, he wasn't like, well, I was just gonna cut him some slack and say he wasn't like a bad person, but then I'm like, wait, actually. I was going to say he wasn't like the worst person, which I guess, yeah, he's not the worst person. He wasn't like, well, you know what? We'll just get into it.
Who knows?
Where do we even start? So basically, to paint the scene, it was a frozen yogurt shop that was new. So it was just opening in the area. And it doesn't really matter when it was, but it was like when frozen yogurt shops were the thing. And there was a frozen yogurt shop on every corner, and they were all competitors with each other. And I just remember one of the first things I learned about him is he was so competitive and wanted to be better than everybody else. Even the other businesses in the surrounding like strip mall, even though they weren't the same business, like he would be competitive with the neighbors. It's like a restaurant, like just these random businesses.
My first interaction with this man should have been the first red flag.
Do you remember the first interaction?
I do. My God. Because I was older than Kelee. I had my driver's license and I'd already had a job. Kelee applied to this place online. It wasn't even open yet. So you had your interview with him at Panera.
Oh my God.
Somewhere else. And
at a third party
location.
At a third party.
It was just like at a Panera.
Yeah.
So I went with you and I just like got a snack and sat at another table.
Yes.
And during your interview, he, I guess, had noticed that we had walked in together. During Kelly's interview, this man turns to me a couple tables away and goes, "And do you need a job too?" And I was like, sure. He was like, "Okay, great. Come over here and have a seat. What's your experience?" And I was like, well, and then here's where this is like, okay, if we're talking experience, I mean, we were, 16, but it was a frozen yogurt shop. And my prior experience was a water ice and custard shop. So like I had the relevant experience.
I feel like you should say what it was. It was Rita's.
It was Rita's.
The most iconic water ice on the East Coast.
Rita's Italian ice. Everyone loves it. And I have nothing bad to say about Rita's. So yeah, if we're going to drop names, or if we're not going to not drop names, this isn't the problem. Like Rita's, best job I ever had. I stayed there as long as I possibly could. Like through college, I would come home in the summers and I was like, please. Every now and then, like if one of the managers would say something that would annoy me, I would be like, you know what? I'm done. I quit. And I would like try to walk out and they would be like, you're not. Come back. And if I like really had it, like if I was like really mad, I would be like, I'm really done this time. And they would be like, are you still coming in tomorrow? And I'd be like, yes, I am.
I'm really done this
because I couldn't leave there. I remember like it was so dramatic though. And this is where it gets funny comparing it to the frozen yogurt place, because there I hit a point where this guy asked us to do everything and it was kind of insane. At Rita's, I really only had to do like what was in my job description. And one day, after many years of being there and not being asked to do one absurd thing, one of the manager's sons was like, "Erin, could you power wash the sidewalk outside the store?" And I was like, what? And he's like, "Look, there's two of us here. I literally do it every year when we first open." No, it was like 10 a.m. on like a Tuesday. He was like, "No one's coming in. Do you mind just like helping me do it?" And I was like, "I will not power wash the sidewalk." And I was so dramatic about it. Like it was not a demanding request, but I was so dramatic about it. And that's when I was like, that's it. If you're going to make me do this, I'm quitting and I'm not coming back. And he was like, "But you're going to come back tomorrow, right?" And I was like, yes, if the sidewalk is done, I will come back tomorrow. Whereas I feel like at this frozen yogurt place, it actually probably was expected that every single morning we power washed the sidewalk.
Yes.
Because I remember doing some absurd things opening on Saturday mornings.
Yes. I remember, this is not even remotely the worst of it, but I remember the umbrellas.
I couldn't lift them.
Yes. For the outside seating, there was these umbrellas with these extremely heavy bases that you were supposed to carry in and out. They were like made for industrial level umbrellas.
Yeah.
And they weighed as much as that should weigh.
They were the ones that were made to not stand inside a table. They were like made for tailgating or restaurants, and they were like probably 150 pounds with sand in them.
I was gonna say 200.
Yeah, they were really, and I remember in high school I physically couldn't move it.
Yeah.
Like and then this is where it gets crazy. We had to put those out every single morning if we were the opening shift. I remember physically not being able to lift it, and he was so strict on who did what when you opened. If you were assigned to open the outside, you opened the outside, someone else started up the machines on the inside. But I remember asking one of the girls who was working, like, "Hey, do you mind like tag teaming the umbrella thing with me? Because I physically can't do it myself." And I remember him being mad. "Why are there two girls opening the outside? There should be one doing the outside, one doing the inside, one doing the back of the store." And I'm like, really? Like, you're that mad? that I needed physical help doing this heavy lifting.
And also, even when they were so heavy that even when two people did it, we still couldn't lift them. Like
we rolled them.
Like you just got it up enough to like roll it outside. Also, why couldn't they just sit outside? They're like big
we brought them in every night.
Metal. Just let them sit out. They're made to be outside. Yeah. Why do you have to bring it in and out?
Because he's crazy. Because this guy was crazy.
He was so crazy.
Yeah.
So he was so controlling. And basically when they opened, this is just a pet peeve of mine in general, but I remember when they were opening, they had this all team meeting, which so many companies do. I've had so many of them, but yet they didn't pay us for it. And just a pet peeve.
Wait, really? Is that legal?
I don't know if it's legal. Actually, there have been a few laws put into place recently that just dictate how people are supposed to be paid. They affect interns. I would think that this is covered somewhere in there, but I have had multiple jobs through my life where they'll schedule an all-team meeting where you have to be there. It's mandatory, but you're not getting paid for it.
I have never been, unless this one time you're talking about.
Wow.
I have never been in that position. And let me tell you, had I known any better, there would have been an uproar.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous, first of all.
Because that was an all-day meeting. That was like a Saturday.
Maybe we did get paid for that one, but I'm specifically thinking of another place that I worked that 100% they were like, you guys will not get paid for this, but it's an all-team meeting. You have to come in.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Crazy.
Call the Board of Labor.
Honestly, I had another job that, if we have time, I'll get into it, that they had really messed up pay practices. Okay, so I don't even know where to start with this guy, but basically he was super, super controlling, and everyone that worked there was a child. Like everyone was in high school, except for one woman who was probably like 20 at the time, or like 22.
I would give her like 23. I wouldn't say she was 20.
Yeah, she was probably a little older. I don't know. She looked older to me because we were in high school.
Yeah.
But I don't think she was like late 20s.
I think she was in her early 20s, but I don't think she was 20.
Okay, that's fair. So she started out normal, but then she became like the manager. So she was almost just as bad as him. But during the time, okay, I don't even know where to start. I just wrote down everything he did, but it's not in like any particular order. So very early on, people would switch shifts and it was never a problem. But then one day, out of the blue, he just decided that that's not okay. And without telling everyone or sending out an email or a text and explaining, hey guys, I think that we need to create a rule. If you're going to switch shifts with someone, you have to ask me first and ask me who you can ask and X, Y, and Z. No, he just decided this overnight. So this girl, Sarah, has a shift scheduled Monday 3 to 7. She can't make it. So she texts this other girl on the team, Courtney. Sarah asks Courtney to take her shift. Courtney shows up Monday, 3 o'clock.
For Sarah's shift.
And this man who has just decided that switching shifts is no longer okay unless you ask him about it, fires Courtney. He fires Courtney on the spot, 3 o'clock, probably 2:55 when she walked into the store because she was covering Sarah's shift. Sarah didn't get fired. Just Courtney did. So stupid. And something that makes me so mad about situations like that is clearly you didn't need me. Clearly you did not need Sarah or Courtney here because you were so flippant in firing Courtney without even giving her a warning. And now you have no one, or you only have the one or two other people. So like, why are you so pressed about them switching shifts if people showing up for shifts or not clearly doesn't matter to you because you fire people the second they walk into the store?
That's another thing. I remember him being so crazy about who he assigned shifts to. And we had a lot of staff. And then I remember one year on Easter, he wanted to be open on the Easter holiday. And there was one guy we worked with.
Oh, it was Christmas.
No, this was Easter. I remember. There was one guy we worked with who was Jewish. And he was like, yeah, I don't celebrate Easter, so I'll work.
Yes.
And I remember our boss saying like, oh, well, do you have any friends that would want to work too? Because you can't work by yourself. And he's like, sure. Like, I'll ask any of my friends if they want easy money, whatever. He has a couple of buddies come in and work with him that day. Life goes on. I remember after that day, our manager being like, whatever the guy's name was, say it was Mike. I remember him being like, oh, Mike, do your buddies just want full-time jobs now? Like, do they want to work here? And he's like, I mean, you can ask them. Like, you can offer them a job if you want. And he's like, great. Ends up hiring this guy's buddies. And I just remember we were like, okay, I already only get 1 4-hour shift a week.
Oh, yes.
And I've been working here for months. Why are you hiring these people?
I thought that happened on Christmas, but I wrote down that story because I was thinking about that guy, Mike. But anyway, I'll say this first. That is something that makes me so mad when it comes to like asking about time off or like asking for a set schedule or something like that. Like I specifically remember, not at this place, but another job, another part-time job I had, the manager was like, if you guys keep asking to have time off and whatnot, we're going to have to hire more people and you're going to get less shifts. And I was like, what are you talking about? I barely can get shifts at it as it is. How about whenever someone asks off, put me on? Like, yeah. I don't have enough time anyway. So why are you threatening hiring more people? That annoyed me so much to no end because everyone at that job wanted to work constantly. Like people asked if they could work open to close, which was 7 to 7. And they would put us on like 4-hour shifts or like 3 hour. Like one of the shifts was like 12 to 4 and then 4 to 7 was another one. Like, why don't you just let people work 8 hours? Or if they want to work 7 to 7, let them work 7 to 7. It only benefits you.
I think because if you're under 18, there's teenage working laws. There's like child work laws.
Okay, I could see that. I was over 18 when I worked at that one. And so were a few of the other girls as well. But anyway, I could see that. Okay, so about Mike, another memory of Mike, he got injured at the job. And I think that this manager, also the frozen yogurt person, it was the owner of the store. So he was the one that opened the store. So not only was he managing everything, but he owned everything. And I think he had absolutely no experience in dealing with this machinery. He didn't understand how to work it. He probably took like one class at the corporate office or something. And there were these hoses on the back of the machines that had scalding hot water. And I think that one of the hoses like snapped off or something and it sprayed Mike, like, or maybe it was something where we didn't really receive training on how to understand these complex machines.
We literally were doing mechanics work there.
Yes. Like I do remember they gave us this quick like demonstration on like take out this part and unscrew this and like how you can clean the entire thing. And I'm like, this is actually like intricate machinery. And why is a 15-year-old being expected to understand all of this? Like this is a very difficult task. And you know what? It bit him in the ass because this guy, Mike, who was actually even older, something went wrong when he was trying to take apart this like intricate machinery and this hot water thing snapped or cracked, I don't even know, and it sprayed scalding water all over like one side of his body. And he had like, I don't really understand what degrees of burns are, like second or third, not the worst, but not like the least. He had very serious burns, and the guy, the owner of the store, just definitely tried to like cover it up or something. Like
totally.
He might have even gotten fired after that because he's like, I can't deal with it. I think like, I don't want to misspeak. I honestly forget exactly what happened, but like part of me thinks he might have fired Mike because of that and been like, or like
he
let
broke
him
the
go.
Machine probably.
Not that he broke it, but he was like, if something like that happens again, like I'm gonna get fined or something. Yeah. I don't know. But
Mike had a lawsuit on his hands because he had untrained 15-year-olds doing mechanics work. Like it is crazy. And like not even to be dramatic, like, oh, how hard can it be to work a machine? Let me tell you, at Rita's, that shit wouldn't fly. Because at Rita's, I knew how to work the machine. It wasn't done as crazily as that. Those machines were way more intricate, way harder to work. And for whatever reason, way more work was done with them. I don't know if it was just because there was more machines. Listen, that shit didn't fly at Rita's. I can tell you that much.
They need to take a page out of Rita's book.
They do.
It's one thing if it's like, oh, undo this thing and like clean the machine every night, but it was so much more intricate than that. And
that's what I'm saying.
It was dangerous. Clearly, it was not okay for children to be undoing things.
That's what I'm saying. Let me put it this way. I started at Rita's. I think you could legally start working at Rita's. They would hire you at 14. I didn't start at this place until I was after 16 because I drove you to your interview. So I had to be closer to 17.
Yeah.
I had no idea what the hell was going on at that place.
No.
Rita's I knew like the back of my hand.
They should have
That was nonsense.
They should have had like videos or something where they're like, every single time you do this until you know it like the back of your hand, either the owner should be doing it with you or you should be watching a video. Or maybe the owner should be doing one task. Like you need to do one task as the owner of this place if you want to hire all children.
Or yeah, you need to hire one higher up person that can handle these things.
Yeah, a machinist or something. Someone with a little more experience.
I will say that is another thing that someone always did right at Rita's. Cleaning the custard machine was a little bit more intricate, like as was cleaning these machines at the frozen yogurt place. And whenever it had to be like really done, like we had to take the pieces apart, the owner or the owner's like best friend's son, like an adult, did it. Mm-hmm. Like I, after so many years, could do it, and so could my close friends that I started with and were there for years. Like the reasons we stayed was each other. We hit a point where we could do it, but for years, or if one of us wasn't there, the owner did it.
Yeah.
He wasn't about to just like screw around and let anyone get burned.
No, thankfully.
Yeah. So yeah, that never would have ever flown at Rita's. From now on, every job I have for the rest of my life, whether it be nursing, anything else, I'm like, Rita's couldn't be as good as Rita's. And
amazing.
for the record, in case anyone ever, hears this from the Ritas, like, I can only speak to my franchise, but I got to college and a girl that lived on my floor in my dorm, it just came up one day that her high school job was at Rita's, and she's like, is it not the best job you've ever had? And I was like, yes, you get it. And there's another local Rita's to us that a girl I knew from high school worked at, and she loved it there also.
We should open a Rita's.
I would love to.
Wow,
I would call my
it.
old boss in a heartbeat and be like, I need everything. I need your book.
We should
I need
do
how
it.
You did
Oh my
it.
God, that'd be so fun.
I mean, I'm not rich. I don't know if I can buy a franchise, but if anyone from Rita's is listening and is willing to work with me, listen, I can do it. I have the experience and I love Rita's.
That's amazing. Okay. Literally, we got to 2 things on this list. I need to like focus and just like read them all off. We're going to keep going with this crazy man. Actually, speaking of focus, before I start focusing, I have a focus tip for everyone. This is actually a good transition because I can share about a problem that I have, which is being able to focus all day while I'm working. I'm sure I'm not the only one that sometimes has trouble focusing while sitting at a desk all day. My mind wanders and races, and I'm constantly getting up to wander around and do absolutely nothing. Especially in the new year, I am really excited to focus on my health, not only physical, but my mental health and mental wealth. And part of that for me means finding tools and resources that will help me work harder throughout the day and be more productive and just create better habits for my life. Something that's really helped me do that is Magic Mind. Magic Mind is a mental performance shot that I drink in the morning along with my daily coffee. It's full of natural ingredients that help your brain to work better and use the caffeine that you're already drinking in a more productive way. When I drink Magic Mind, I don't get the jitters from caffeine. I'm able to sit at my desk and focus and just be in a flow state and not feel stressed. I've been drinking Magic Mind for over a year now, and I have been loving it. I even recommend it to friends outside of the podcast, and now I am happy to be sharing it with our listeners as well. I'm also really excited about Magic Mind's newest offering, which is their 24-hour pack. In the 24-hour pack, you get the daily shots that you take in the morning to help you with focus and clarity throughout the day, and you also get the sleep shots, which you take before bed to help you get a better night's sleep at night. This is the first time that Magic Mind is offering both shots together, and our listeners can use the link in our bio to purchase the 24-hour pack at a 45% off discount, which is a crazy discount and a great opportunity to try it if it sounds like something you might be interested in. Magic Mind is doctor validated, and there have been over 200 scientific studies behind every ingredient and how they work with your body and your brain. I definitely love Magic Mind, and I would love for all of you guys to try it. And if you're interested in trying it, Magic Mind comes at no risk. If you're not happy with your purchase, they will refund you 100%, no questions asked. So that paired with our 45% off link and code make it the perfect time to try Magic Mind. If you struggle with focus and want to create better habits and better routines in the new year, Magic Mind might be the product for you. If you're interested, click the link in our bio and head to their website to learn more about it and give it a try. I hope you love it. Now, let's get into it. So this guy, I think the shift started out, the store closed at like 9 or 10, but he was like I said, very competitive, and he was almost like doing anything to get like one more sale that day. So he decided that he was going to keep the store open until 11 p.m. And I'm not talking in the summer. He was keeping this frozen yogurt shop open until 11 p.m. Monday through Sunday in the dead of winter. February, 5 degrees. The yogurt shop is open until 11 p.m., regardless of if there's customers or not. And my parents were not okay with that because they were like, you're not working until 11. And then we either have to come.
Store close at 11.
Oh, yes.
So you
true.
now have to clean the store. And let me tell you, the store was a whole lot bigger than Rita's to clean at the end of the night.
That is true.
Because people could come in, leave their crap on all the tables. So Rita's end of the night to clean, 20 to 30 minutes. Froyo at the end of the night to clean, an hour easy.
It also did get very messy because it's serve yourself. So people went in there and just like threw stuff around. So yes, my parents basically were like, you're not staying there until 11:30 and then getting home, showering, and then getting ready for bed and then going to bed at like 12 midnight on a school night. So my parents were like, you're not doing that. And I told him that. And he kind of, well, first of all, he was very mad at me. And I don't think I was the only one that probably said that to him because he redid some of the shifts so that you could work, I guess, like 2:30 to 7 or like 3 to basically
it was 3 to 7.
We would go right after school and then it was like 7 or 8, I guess. And those only lasted for a few months because then it got to the point where he was like, oh, this is too crazy.
Let me pause you. These things that you're saying, like, oh, it only lasted a few months, but I only worked there a few months.
Oh, I'm talking about even after you.
I know, but I don't think that even flew for a few months.
Oh, okay.
I would say a couple weeks.
Well, at some point, I don't know, I guess I don't remember how long it was, but he decided that you either had to work until close or you couldn't work at all. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't work on weekdays then. So then I was only working on Saturday and Sunday there.
Why did you never just say, screw it, I'm going to Rita's?
You know what? Hindsight is 2020. Let's get into some of the juicy stuff that he did. He watched porn in his office that had windows into the back area.
Yes.
So all of the girls that were working in the back, if you walked past his office, which was all windows, that was on the screen. I never saw that, but one of my close friends I met her there, but we became friends through working together, and she saw that.
We should also confirm real quick, Kelee mentioned the girl who was in her young 20s who was cool at the beginning and then became a manager. Even through her transition to become a manager, she was very cool with us. And a lot of these things that we were like, oh my God, is this true? She did confirm. Like, she was like, yes, like I've seen that or heard that or whatever. So this is not just like a she said, they said thing. This is like a my close friend saw it, I trust her, and our manager confirmed it.
Yes. And speaking of the manager who was cool with everyone until I'm guessing he floated like a full-time label in front of her and like maybe said, I'll pay you $1 more an hour.
Yeah.
I don't even know. But he asked her to model for him and take photos in front of his car. He had like this weird, it was not a cute car.
It was not like a classic.
No. Anyway, she said yes for some reason.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She said yes, and he took her outside into the parking lot of the strip mall and had her stand in front of his like burnt orange like 2001 Kia Soul. Now I don't know what kind of car it was, but it was like this weird car.
Not the Soul, not the box car.
And not that the Soul is weird, but his car was weird, whatever it was. And then he had these Polaroids of her because we had this Polaroid camera at the store because there was like a bulletin board where you like took pictures of people, like customers with like, I don't know, whatever. So he had those. So she did that before she turned on everyone.
Yeah.
He became so crazy and controlling that he would either always be in the store with you or he would sit at the bar across the street and watch all the employees on the cameras.
Yep.
Just so that he could like micromanage and yell at people if they left like a strawberry on the cutting board by accident.
I don't think he had another full-time job. Like he actually sat in his office there 24/7 or at the bar and watched the cameras.
Yeah.
Because he would call and say, hey, I'm across the street and I'm watching.
Yeah.
He would call and say that.
I feel like he didn't say that at first. Like, so I'm guessing
maybe
that
not
manager girl told me.
Maybe not at first, but he would call and say, hey, I just looked at the cameras and I saw that you whatever. Yeah. Or he would come in and you would be like, I was just across the street. Like he would say that when he would just show up or call.
And like that might not seem seem like the craziest thing, but I feel like he was only doing that so that he had a reason to yell at you rather than like making sure everything's okay and like just checking in. Like, it is weird to sit there and watch your employees. Like, you have absolutely no trust in them. Yeah. They've never stolen from you. Every time you walk in there, the place is clean. The yogurt is fresh. Like, the customers are happy.
The place is pristine and nothing has ever gone wrong.
Exactly. So it's not like he's watching to like just make sure that someone doesn't get scalded with water or like what. He's literally watching you because if you do one wrong thing, he wants to like write you up for it.
Yeah.
Even though the place was very, very successful. There was return customers constantly. Everyone was happy.
Yeah.
All the employees were honest and like were just doing their best. It was just a really weird. I just don't like that. I just don't like that he had like no faith or trust in the employees whatsoever to the point where he would watch them like a hawk on cameras. Like, it's just creepy. And also, after hearing that he was watching us, it didn't make me want to work harder. It just made me want to turn the thing this way because I knew the camera was over there, and I'll just chop the brownies up like facing the wall rather than facing the store, like the rest of the, like, because I just don't want to be nitpicked.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do the exact same thing I would have done if he wasn't watching, but now I'm just like scared and on edge.
Yep.
So it just doesn't help at all to know that someone's watching you like that.
And let me tell you, that shit didn't happen at Rita's and nothing ever went wrong.
This
nothing
episode
went
is going to
wrong.
be called Why You Should Work
Why
at
you should,
Rita's.
and why your children, your teenagers, why everyone should go work at Rita's as their first job. No, I mean, I'm sure it depends on the manager / franchise owner, whatever. And I had a good one. But in all seriousness, I worked at Rita's for years. We never had that manager sitting there like over top of you, watching the cameras. And guess what? At the end of the day, the place was pristine. The water ice was selling. The customers were coming back. The cash register was always, everything was accounted for. And everyone left with their hands clean and nothing wrong.
Yeah. No third-degree burns.
Right. Anyway.
Like Mike.
Anyway.
Oh, this is another. He was obsessed with money. And in the first few weeks, like if you got there, let's say your shift started at 3, if you got there at 2:53 and clocked in then, like you just start working and then maybe it's till 7 and you clock out at like 7:05. I remember walking in one day, maybe it was like 2:57, 2:55. He was like, hey, by the way, don't clock in until 3. If your shift starts at 3, you should be clocking in at 3, not like a few minutes before. And I remember being like, oh, okay. Like, I just felt like that was weird because it's like, I'm here. What is 3 minutes? Why does that even matter? And now I have a theory that he probably ran numbers in like Excel and he's like, okay, I'm going to pay 3 people for 4 hours at minimum wage and it's going to get me this much income. And then these are going to be my numbers. And then I bet that the numbers were like slightly off. And his wife, who was the only person with some brains in this place, was like, oh, well, it's because the employees clock in 5 minutes early or 5 minutes late if they're finishing a task or if they get there early. And then he was like, oh, we can't have that. I can't pay you for 3 minutes. Like, wait, I just want to know, when we were working there, minimum wage was $7.25 in Pennsylvania. 7.25 divided by 60.
We weren't making minimum wage, or I wouldn't have worked there. I would have picked up more shifts at Rita's because I wasn't making minimum wage at Rita's.
I'm going to say it was $8 then.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, $8 divided by 60 minutes is 0.13. 3 minutes cost 67 cents. 67 cents. We were not allowed to clock in early.
Yep.
Okay. Oh my God, wait. This is not really about like him being a bad person, but he was just so strange. And we had these like sample cups that you could sample the frozen yogurt. And I remember I think he was on drugs, honestly. Or there was something.
He probably was. Looking back, I
he was drunk.
It.
I do actually, he probably was because he would go to the bar and then come into the store.
Yep.
So I remember he was like, we made fun of him for this for so long, or we laughed at this for so long. He was holding one of the frozen yogurt cups and he was walking over to this woman like this. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And he was just like, and the woman was like, oh, thanks. And he goes, try a sample. And she's like, oh, okay. Like she had no clue.
I
like
do think
what
he was on drugs.
Yeah.
He was, and then I remember the center of the store where the register was called the Bubble, and he loved saying the words "the bubble."
Oh yeah.
Like, it was like only one person in the bubble at a time. If you're not cleaning, you're not standing in the bubble. If you're not outside, don't go near the bubble. You don't need to be standing there talking to someone in the bubble. You shouldn't be talking to anyone near the bubble. Like he would reference the bubble.
That is very true.
And I'm like, what are you on that it just feels good to say the bubble?
It also, being the person that works the cash register is like the easiest job because you're not doing anything. You're literally just, they put their yogurt on the scale and you type in like total and that's it. It's the easiest part of this job.
But you're holding down the bubble.
Yeah. And he was so crazy about the bubble that I was like, I want to be put on any other part of this job.
I will drag the 200-pound umbrellas out front to
I
not
was like,
be in the bubble.
I will chop the fruit. I was like, I want to be in the back.
Yeah.
And then I remember there was this girl that I knew that worked there, but she worked there way less than me, like maybe like once a week. And I probably worked there like 4 times a week when I started. I forget. But I remember saying to her, oh, I like working in the back. I don't even, and she's like, oh, really? I like working the register. And I was like, yeah, you would, because you are here for 4 hours a week and you don't even understand how crazy this guy is once you actually spend time with him.
I feel like these stories aren't doing justice to how crazy he was.
I know.
And you know, people are like, oh, well, I had a crazy boss that X, Y, and Z. And listen, I could tell those stories too. I won't, because I'm an adult and those were adult jobs.
Yes, I agree. And I was trying to pull together stories from other people, and the things that these people wrote about their horrible bosses, it's like they physically abused me, or like they sent me like crazy texts and like demeaned me. And it's like, that is worse, obviously. That is worse. But I think that the point that I wanted to get across with this episode, and I wrote down like some other general things about other jobs, is that if you are working at a low stakes job like this, and I mean, maybe I could say the same about a high stakes job, but honestly, I don't really have experience with that, so I'm not going to speak on it right now. But if you're 17 and you are being treated badly at a job, you can stick up for yourself and you can
put
leave.
up with it. Yes.
Yeah, like when the girl told me that he was watching porn in the office, like we both should have gone and applied to a different job, because you can almost always get a job when you're 17. Like there was a
when
gym
you're
right
that influenced, you're just like, oh, okay, that's so creepy and weird that he's doing that. I'm gonna go back to cutting the brownies.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're almost like brainwashed at that age. You're like, listen, this guy tells me what to do and I do it.
Yeah, exactly. And even the manager that he took photos of her in front of the car, she was a little bit older than us, but still she was too scared to say no.
Right.
So she's like, yeah, you can take pictures. And I remember she told me that, and she was like, it was so strange. Like I didn't know what to do, so I just said yes.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to say yes if your creepy boss is asking you to take photos of you for his personal like use. It's weird, and you can stand up for yourself. And I feel like that's the point that I wanted to get at. And then also the point of, if people aren't paying you right, or if they're not, I mean, I guess it all kind of comes down to like safety and being paid correctly.
Don't do something that's not in your job description.
Yes.
Don't come into the office and do anything if you're not clocked in getting paid for it.
Right.
Don't do anything that seems or feels unsafe. If you feel like if something, even if it's like kind of in your job description, like, oh, clean the frozen yogurt machine, and something feels not right, like it's scalding hot and you have to take this apart, you can say, I don't feel right or safe doing this. And I need you as my manager to walk me through it.
Yeah, or if they're telling you to take apart intricate machinery and you're like, hey, I actually don't know how to do this. And
I actually didn't go to tech school for machinery.
Yes. And if they're like, that's part of your job, you can just explain to them that you don't know how to do it and you cannot do it physically.
Right.
You can't do it.
And if you can't lift 200-pound umbrellas, you can say that. You can say you can't do it.
Yes.
Don't break your back, okay? I went to physical therapy at a young age.
We can wrap it up, because I agree with you. What we're saying isn't even painting the whole whole picture as crazy as he was. But something that annoyed me so much about that job was that, you were never allowed, like after that whole switching shifts thing, you couldn't switch shifts with someone short of like, I don't even know, like you scalded your arm with their machinery.
Yeah.
They were so crazy. And I remember, especially after the schedule shift where I couldn't work on weekdays because my parents parents didn't want me out until 11:30. When I was only working on the weekends, I never took off. I never asked for a Saturday off. I never called out the entirety of the time that I was working there. I never called out once, like the day of my shift being like, hey, I'm sick, I can't make it. Didn't happen one time. And I worked there total 8 months. So in 8 months, did not call it once. There might have been a couple times where I might have said, oh, I have a school event or like something on like a Saturday that I couldn't work, but I rarely asked for a Saturday off. And then I remember this one day after working there for 8 months, always on time, did my job, like whatever. I texted the manager who at this point became his like right-hand girl.
Minion.
Yes, minion. And she was honestly becoming like as crazy as him. And I think she was on a power trip. I think he was just like weird and didn't have a clue. I think she was on a power trip because it was probably the first time that she was ever in this like management position. And she left her other job to like work there full time. And anyway, so I texted her because I was running a 5K with my cousins and I totally forgot to ask off on like a Sunday morning. I forgot to put in a request and whatnot. And so I texted them on Saturday and I was like, hey, I can't come in tomorrow. Like, I'm really sorry. Blah, 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 something. And she texted me back and said, come in tomorrow or turn in your uniform. And I didn't text her back and I didn't go in and I never went back to the place.
Perfect.
And that's how my time there ended. But it's another example of, it just goes to show that you don't need me to come in.
Right.
Because if you needed me as your employee, you wouldn't be so quick to fire me after calling out once. And if you truly needed me to come in, you wouldn't say come in or turn in your uniform. You could say, hey, I understand things come up, but we really, really need you tomorrow. Is there any possible way that you can come in? Or is there any way that you can ask someone to switch with you or something? Like, you would be more reasonable. You wouldn't just give them this ultimatum or come in for your shift or you're done.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be done then. And then you're going to have to go and find someone else and spend the time and money training them. Also, if I just don't show up tomorrow, do you not want confirmation of that? Like, you're going to wait until 8 a.m. when the shift starts to see if I'm like going to hold my ground and not come in. And then at 8 a.m. when I don't come in, then what? Then what are you going to do? You're going to start calling people.
She's going to stand in the bubble herself, I guess.
I guess, if she was even on the schedule that day. Like, I don't remember how often the manager and the owner were like actually there.
Versus at the bar.
Right, exactly. But I don't know. It just like makes me so mad with that whole like, if you call out, you're fired. And it's like, well, then you don't need me anyway. It's so clear that you don't need me if you're going to fire me at the start of my shift.
Yeah, at this type of job. Like, let's be so for real.
Exactly.
The stakes were low. The stress was high.
It just makes me mad too when you ask off at this like extremely low stakes job that has 30 employees on the schedule for any given week. And this happened to me not at this job, but at another one. I also rarely ever requested specific days off. And I remember one time I was visiting a friend out of town one Sunday. I worked every Sunday because I asked them for a set schedule and I worked every single Sunday of the summer and I had off like the least busy days. And I asked her for one Sunday afternoon off. And I remember she was like, hey, if you had to work Sunday afternoon, what time do you think you'd be able to come in? And I literally was like, and she was like,
never.
I think I'm going to be able to do it. And I was like, I can't work on Sunday. Like, oh, what do you mean? I think I can give you off.
These places take full advantage of it. That, you know what?
know.
That still stands true in my current life in these jobs that I've had as an adult at healthcare systems. And I know it's this way at other healthcare systems. That still stands true. It's like, hey, can I have this week off for vacation? Well, do you have any wiggle room? And no, I don't. Like, this is the week that my parents, my cousins, their kids, that everyone else is off. No, I don't have any wiggle room. That still stands true.
And it just annoys me too because it's one thing if you have like the character of the employee is to ask off every day, call out here and there, switch shifts constantly. If you have employees that rarely ask off and rarely call out and they ask you one time, as a business owner, you should want to fulfill their request to keep them coming back. Like, good employees are hard to find. And if you have good employees that ask you for one Sunday off the entire summer, I think you should do your best to give it to them. Mm-hmm. Also, why don't you just ask every other employee there that's dying for a shift if they can cover it? And I'm sure they will. Like, literally me. I was like, if you hire more people, I'm just going to leave. I actually did have 2 jobs when I worked there because they rarely gave me shifts that I was like, all right, I'm getting a second job. And I remember they were like kind of weird about that. And I'm like, I can't, it's either this, I have 2, or you don't have me at all. So you can threaten to like hire more people, but you're like quaking in your boots at the thought of me having a second job.
No, I love that. I love then we're going to fire you. Like, don't threaten me with a good time. Okay.
Yeah,
please let me go. Let me go. I'll pick up more hours at Rita's. Like, honestly, I'm happier there anyway, and I'm making more money.
Yes. No, seriously, that's how I was when I was working at that place. I'm like, I work at this other job making more money, and I know that they would give me 40 hours a week if I asked for it, but I just want to work here because I like you.
Yeah.
But like, what is this? Like, what is, you know what? It's honestly because people that have absolutely no management experience start businesses, which they definitely should. Like, great. You should definitely start a business. But like, you need to work with people. And you also need to understand that like, you are not paying people enough to treat them this way. Like, if I was making $500,000 a year, sure, don't give me off on a Sunday. Okay, I'll work on Sunday. I won't request off one day of the entire summer. But you're paying me what, $8, $9 an hour? Like,
no, not 9. It was not 9.
Actually, no. Yeah, that one, they might have been paying me minimum wage at that one, but I was working there for another reason, which is going to give it away.
No.
But, wait, no, that sounds shady.
She was working there for free food.
Yes. No, but, well.
You were. Just say it.
I was working there because I wanted to do their social media, which got me another job later.
Okay.
So,
right.
Yeah.
But I worked at Rita's for the free. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I worked at a yogurt shop for free.
Yeah. And you always got, for the record, you only got 1 cup here and there at the yogurt shop. You could eat whatever you wanted at Rita's.
I do remember they were like, you get $5 a week or something like that.
Yeah.
Because at first they were like, sure, have a cup. But then people, I guess they thought people were eating too much yogurt. So then they were like, you have $5 per shift. I don't even know if it was per shift.
I don't even know.
Or per week. And you have to weigh your yogurt. And everyone's like, yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
We are absolutely not doing that. One more crazy scheduling thing. I had another job where the manager was like, she was very tough, which was fine. It was like definitely like a no bullshit. It was a retail job. It was like no bullshit, which I liked. But there were things about her where I was like, okay, this is a bit too much. And one of them was if you wanted a day off, you couldn't just say, hey, I have a family thing on this date. She had this notebook where you had to go into her office and like get the notebook and write down a request to have time off and be like, hello, Susan, you are looking wonderful today. And literally the girls that had worked there for years told me if you write it like it's a love letter and give her compliments, she's more likely to give you the day off. And so I would write my little love letter and be like, dear Susan, you looked ravish. And they were like, make it like funny, like make it like a whole thing. You looked ravishing in your pink t-shirt and jeans this morning. It's such an honor to work for you. My family is planning a reunion on June 17th. Could I please request to not be on the schedule that day? I will work hard and blah, blah, blah for the rest of the week or something like that. And if you wrote it that way, she would give you off a lot of the times. But if you just strictly wrote, Kelee can't work June 17th, you're on the schedule. Like, yeah. I hate that you have to give people a reason and then they get to decide if your reason is good enough to not work.
That's kind of still true today.
But it's so annoying. Like,
no, it's crazy. It's honestly, absolutely crazy.
That is one thing that I like about my job as a freelancer, because I'm like, I don't need to give you a reason for me to not work on any specific day. The reason that I am a freelancer is because I want to pick and choose when I work. And I hate when people try to like guilt trip me into being like, well, don't you just want to work? Like, no, I don't need to give you my life story and have like, it's either you're working or you have like the Grammys that day. Like, that is the only thing that you could possibly say no to work for. Like, I'm like, no, I want to be able to say, no, I want to sit on my ass that day. I want to go to the beach with absolutely
It's called
no one.
Work-life balance.
Yes. And
let's keep it.
Everyone preaches, not everyone, but I just feel like so many bosses or managers, you know, they preach about work-life balance until you pick life. And then it's like, wait, how can we guilt trip you into working another shift or doing X, Y, and Z? And it's like, no, I don't need to give you a whole background. If I can't work that day, that's what it is. And it's like, Just another one was like, I just remember a manager being like, if you have concert tickets, we can try to give you off that day, but like it's not guaranteed. What do you mean it's not guaranteed? I'm not coming. I am not coming.
Do that until you call out for those things.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Oh my God, it annoys me so much when it's the like, oh, we can't guarantee it. Well, then you're going to lose an employee. And if you fire me, that's on you. Right. Then who is going to come in?
You can either give me off and plan for me to not be here, or you can not give me off. I'm going to call out, and now you're scrambling for coverage.
Yeah. And then if you fire me, you're going to be scrambling for coverage for the remainder of the 2 weeks that you sent out the schedule for.
Yes.
But you really, really want to choose to put me on the schedule that day. You're making your own life harder. I really hope that there's
people don't get it.
No, I know. I really hope that there's an AI scheduling platform at this point where you can just put in all of your employees and their skills. And if there isn't one, I'm going to go invent it actually. And you know what? Did I just think of an idea? No, because these people are so cheap.
Yeah,
these
they
people
still
are
wouldn't
so
pay
cheap.
for it.
Yeah, that they wouldn't even want to pay for it.
Yep.
That they wouldn't want to make their lives easier. And you know what's just annoying? People, I know for a fact, some of the people that I've worked for would be so hesitant, or they wouldn't ever agree to pay for a platform like that, when in the long run, it's actually going to save them money.
Yep.
Because now they don't have to pay a manager
scheduler.
to sit there for hours on end and make the most intricate schedule that's so complicated for absolutely no reason.
People don't get it. People don't get it.
No, they don't get it. No, they really don't get it. And it just grinds my gears and pisses me off. But anyway, we didn't even get to like the stories from other people or some of my other jobs. So maybe if people like this episode, we can do another one where we actually read.
We could talk about adult
stories.
Jobs too.
True. Yes. Not just the like part-time low stakes, but we can raise the stakes.
This was setting the platform.
Yeah.
And we'll raise the stakes in the next one.
Yeah. So let us know if you liked it. Hopefully it was entertaining for you. And try Magic Mind. Use our link in our bio if you're interested in it. And thank you so much for listening to our episode. Quit your job. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you in the next one.
Go Birds.
Bye.